Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to the episode 39 of our ongoing series of Decoding AI in Healthcare. I'm Hetvisha, your host, and I'm thrilled to be today's host for this engaging session on AI and revenue cycle management, a topic that is transforming the way healthcare organizations optimize revenue and streamline operations. We are honored to have our distinguished guest speaker, Vijayashree Natarajan, who brings over 25 years of experience across healthcare, life sciences, banking, and insurance. She leads the technology team at Omega Healthcare, driving the digital transformation, AI adoption, and automation, and has worked with global IT leaders like Cognizant and BNY Mellon. Vijayashree's expertise spans across AI strategy, analytics, automation, and digital engineering. And she is known for her people-first leadership that inspires her teams to achieve excellence. Her joining her is our host, Dr. Dipu Patel, a dynamic digital health consultant and educator, passionate about harnessing technology to transform patient care and medical education. And we are all set for an insightful conversation with Vijay and Dr. Patel. So, welcome and thank you for joining us today. So, over to you, Deepu.
Thank you, Hitvi. Thank you. Welcome to our audience. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to all of you who are joining us from across the globe. It is my pleasure and honor to welcome Vijayashree Natarajan to our podcast. We are often asked, or I guess I am often asked, what revenue cycle management looks like in this world and era of AI, and I guess in the next iteration, agentic AI. And so we have an expert here who is going to really shed some light on what that involves and what it takes to truly make revenue cycle management successful, and how you can be a strategic partner with the relevant stakeholders in your organization. I will be referencing for our audience the Everest Group report we will post the link to the report as right now in the chat, as well as in our post show notes. But I want to welcome Vijayashree for really allowing us to have this open conversation, which is sometimes really difficult because what return on investment looks like in the era of AI and then agentic AI is really shifting. And we are in a new era of what that really means. It's no longer only about the financial gains that we're making, but also the resources that we are using and how we are strategically employing those resources. I want to start off with a statistic that the Everest Group report notes that 71% of healthcare providers want to evolve the RCM partnerships from transactional to strategic. From your vantage point, what defines a truly strategic partnership in the revenue cycle management today, and what makes it sustainable over time? You have been in this space for a really, really long time, well over a couple of decades, and please share your insights.
Hey, thanks, Dipu, and very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all who have joined this meeting, and very exciting to be part of it. To answer your question, Dipu, when you take revenue cycle management, when we are talking about partnering with the customers and helping our customers in this RCM space, when we say partner, it is as the word really means, it is a true partner, right? When we say true partner, it is like joining hands with your customer to help them in this whole digital transformation journey, moving away from your typical transaction-based model or an FT-based model, but becoming a partner to share the risk involved in this overall transforming journey, right? That becomes the real true partnership, right? How can you join hands with your customers? Because tech is evolving at a pace where nobody can actually imagine. And this evolution of technologies, I would say, creating a revolution, especially in this healthcare industry, where it touches the entire life cycle be it your provider space, the payer space, and finally the patient care, touching the human's lives. And healthcare being a very sensitive domain where it touches the humans' lives. So there is a whole lot of responsibility is revolving around this domain, I would say. So when we call ourselves as a partner for our customers, we join hands with them to solve their problems end to end by adopting technology and accelerating this overall digital transformation. And sometimes when we are trying to automate a process, when we are trying to bring in technology, for some of the vendors, it might look like a revenue cannibalization in the short term. But when you become a true partner for your customer, you should not be worried about cannibalizing your own revenue, but you should really put yourself in the shoes of the customer and transform the end outcomes, what we are delivering for the patients, right? That will actually take us to from a short-term partnership to a long-term partnership where you are sharing the risk involved in this whole journey. At the same time, share the benefits on both the sides. That would be the definition of true partnership, I would say, in this space.
You're absolutely right. And I think one of the key points that you make is about making sure that you're thinking of partnership as a long-term relationship rather than a transactional short-term relationship. Many stakeholders forget that when you are developing these partnerships through stakeholder engagement, that you're not looking just to close that deal in that moment, but you're hoping that you truly are going to have this give and take with each other as each of your entities and organizations grow, so that you are both benefiting but also defraying the risk for each other. And that, I guess, brings me to the next point, which was also outlined in this Everest Group report, which is 51% of healthcare leaders are expecting increased outsourcing budgets by 2030. And how should healthcare executives be rethinking, I guess, their investment strategies now so that they're avoiding being reactive later? So what is the strategic thinking that executive leaders should be doing today to start building those relationships and those partnerships rather than making them or developing them at the last minute, so to speak?
Yeah, so when you talk about the outsourcing industry, it is not just you are outsourcing the work and getting the work done by the humans or the resources. Predominantly, the investment strategy should revolve around focused on outcomes rather than how you are achieving those outcomes, right? In the digital world, you actually the entire transformation revolves around the digital workers and the human workers kind of sharing the workload or joining hands with each other, right? So the investment strategies should revolve around investing around the outcomes, how you can actually deploy the digital transformation, and then get the outcomes delivered rather than the traditional way of getting it outsourcing. It is outsourcing your outcome and the risk rather than just outsourcing your work getting delivered by the resources. So the investment strategies should definitely be revolving around your AI strategy. So what people are really looking for real, partners who can help in this overall AI-driven transformation journey, slightly deviating from the traditional outsourcing model of outsourcing the work and get it done by the human. So it should not matter for the customers whether it gets delivered by the digital workers or the human workers, because your overall investment strategy should be focusing on improving your outcomes. And how those outcomes are actually getting delivered should be left to the partners who are actually driving the digital transformation.
You are so on point with that. It shouldn't matter how the work gets done. It should matter the outcome and the quality of the product or the outcome. Yes. And really, I think if we stay focused on the quality of the outcomes, the rest of it will follow. I think you're right. A lot of healthcare executives get really stuck in how is this doing? How is this happening? What is the workflow? And those are, of course, important questions to ask, but never lose sight of the ultimate goal or outcome that you are hoping to achieve. And sometimes that requires a heavier lift by technology, and sometimes it requires a heavier lift by a human. It's always, as we're talking about partnerships, it's always a partnership between the human and the technology. The scale may tip one way or the other depending on the workflow, but ultimately the outcome is what really matters. And so that I guess that leads me to the question where we've been talking about technologies, and let's focus in on some of the more concrete parts of it. So we have Gen AI, we have agentic AI, and intelligent automation. These are highlighted as transformative. Which of these do you think will have the fastest measurable return on investment in RCM, and which will have the most long-term strategic impact?
It starts from an RPA, generative AI, and agentic AI. I just wanted to take this moment to call out, because many times I have been asked this question in many of the panel discussions as well. One is not replacing the other, actually. It is actually, I would say, it is an evolution. And RPA, there are use cases where you can actually solve with just an RPA based automation. When it becomes more complex, when it becomes more unstructured data involvement, where you need to generate more of the automation use cases revolving around generation, you need to bring in the generative AI capability. When it becomes agentic AI, it actually involves both RPA in the form of action bots and the generative AI for all your generative AI requirement. It is more like an automating your complex use cases using your agentic AI, where you bring in more AI agents. Those AI agents and the agentic AI framework will constitute your action bots, also your generative AI bots, and then your AI agents. So it is not like a multiple choice question where this option A or option B or option C. It is actually all of the above. Only when you can actually transform and process end to end, right? If it is a very simple process where you just need to automate repetitive steps involved in, say, your eligibility verification, your charge entry, your payment posting kind of an ERA. There are many use cases where you can quote in the revenue cycle, healthcare use cases, where you can solve using just an RPA as a technology, right? When it comes to like an appeal letter generation, where there is a good amount of communication happening between your payer and the provider, where the claims get denied, the payers, inform the providers, and the providers need to appeal back after analyzing. They have to appeal back to the payer, so they have to generate an appeal letter. You bring in your generative AI capability to generate the appeal letters, right? After appealing it, while you are actually finally completing your the account receivable process by taking your claim resolution as a step, then you again bring in your action bot. So then you bring in your agentic AI into picture. So when you take an end-to-end complex use case, you may have to stitch in all these capabilities together for you to transform and automate a process end-to-end. So summarizing my answer, it is like you would need all these technologies stitched in together depending on the use case. In some cases, you would need only an RPA capability. In some cases, it can be automated just using your generative AI capabilities using LLMs. In some advanced complex use cases where it would need a complete agentic AI framework involving both the RPAs and the generative AI. So that is how the industry is moving towards, where we are actually automating a complex process, using all these technologies evolution.
You make an excellent point, and as you were saying earlier, that it's not multiple choice. You don't pick one; it's all of the above. And that really, as an educator, that really resonates with me, because I often tell when I'm giving lectures on how to leverage AI, I always tell people that these are tools, and you're going to use the right tool for the right workflow or for the right moment. You may not need to use every single one in a workflow or in a task that you're trying to accomplish, and so you have to learn what are the pros and cons and what are the deliverables that this tool will give me. And sometimes that tool is simple, like Gen AI, but sometimes it requires a lot more orchestration where agentic AI may be helpful. So you don't have to use all the sexy tools all at once, right? You have to pick and choose, and that's where really having a AI literate workforce and having that expertise like yourself, like Omega Health, can really help us. And actually that was also highlighted in this report. One of the big findings in this report was that 80% of providers cite a lack of in-house AI expertise as a barrier. And so so the question for you would be, from your experience, what is the most practical way to bridge that skills gap? Is it upskilling clinicians, cross-functional AI literacy, or relying more on external partners? And this is something that I see as well, and is the space that I myself am in, which is educating the educator on AI and really making sure that we are continuously upskilling not only existing clinicians, because they don't have to be experts. They just need to know have a basic understanding of what questions they should be asking when it comes to these AI tools and workflows that we're trying to implement, and then also educating the next generation who is going to graduate and bring all of these skills, hopefully, and the literacy forward into the workforce. So what are some practical tips that you have in terms of upskilling and cross-functional literacy?
My answer is going to be same as the previous question, like all of the above, right? You need to train so you need to train your existing clinicians, because when you bring in AI into your overall life cycle, the AI literacy is required for your clinicians, for your the in-house workforce on the operations business side. So we need to enable them how to coexist in the AI world, right? How to handshake with your digital worker, how to for example, if you for you to become a data analyst to enhance an ML model or a deep learning model, the SMEs play a major role. So good amount of literacy is required for enabling in-house. So that is required. The capability built, for example, in Omega Healthcare, the entire technology practice, they're all kind of AI, trained and AI certified. They might be an RPA engineer, they might be an .NET engineer, Java engineer, but eventually they all have to undergo a complete generative AI prompt engineering capability and upskill themselves. So they also need to be upskilled, trained, and certified to become, part of your overall AI journey. And having said that, after doing all these in-house capability enhancements, we would still need to be leveraging external partners if there is for this advanced training, as well as to fill some gap in the overall capability if we need to enhance beyond what is our internal capability, right? So enhancing your internal capability and leveraging your external partnership. So Omega, we have always had a very kind of a balanced buy versus build strategy, where we have actually leveraged the best of both the worlds, right? You build your own solution. You also kind of buy and get the partnerships, leveraging the partnerships, so that you can enhance your internal product development, accelerate your product development. At the same time, you will actually get the market facing aspect brought into your technology journey. So as I said, my answer is same. It is like all of this we need to, because we are not talking about using AI or using technology as just for enabling a function or enabling. We are talking about kind of a survival industry in the pace in which the AI is driving the whole industry, right? So we have to do everything, right? How you can actually leverage AI as a tool, how you can bring in AI as your strategic lever for your top line and your bottom line, and how you can use AI as a strategy for your customers to improve their outcomes. So we have to attack all the areas so that you can be a leader in this space.
Absolutely right, and I couldn't agree more. And I think part of it is also understanding that you're always going to have different levels of understanding and different capabilities of these technologies and tools. Just like in healthcare, we rely on our primary care providers to be the gatekeepers for a lot of the chronic diseases that we see. We also need to partner with cardiologists and endocrinologists and all sorts of specialists to really help us. And so similarly, that education gap will be different. And to your point, I couldn't agree with you more, is that yes, you should be upskilling your clinicians and your workforce in your organization, but you should also be partnering with external partners and stakeholders who may have that technological advancement and understanding and a deeper understanding, because this industry, this moment, everything is changing. In fact, I just had a conversation late last week with someone, and they're like, "Oh, are you going to do this presentation?" And I'm like, "I'll do a version of this because in 3 months it's going to be different than what I just did for the person last week." And so really having those external partners and stakeholders, the ones who stay on the pulse of where this technology is shifting, is as important as upskilling your current workforce. Oh. The second question I get asked after how do you stay up to snuff on your skills is, well, I like AI. I really want to trust AI, but I'm having a really difficult time grappling with the hallucinations that we are seeing. So Gen AI has a lot of risks that include hallucination, data privacy, compliance gaps. And so how do you balance that innovation with the very real need for trust and reliability in healthcare data? And this is a very active conversation that is being had on multiple levels, from everywhere from ethics, AI ethics and bias, to how do you clean data so that it's reflective of the data set that we want it to, and then in your context, how do you manage that in a revenue cycle management context?
I would say the advancement of technology, AI is helping AI, or AI for AI, I would say. That's an answer, right? Because as you see, the AI is evolving. We could also see, because, for example, we have partnered with big giant partners like Microsoft, leveraging the GPT models, partners like AWS, leveraging their cloud models. All these big tech giant partners, they have been focusing on these LLMs are easily available even in the open source world. But these tech giants are actually doing good amount of investments, bringing those LLMs into their space and making it more a secured, LLMs. So that the main reason why we went with leveraging the same LLMs, we could have actually leveraged outside of these tech giants, the cloud space. Whereas then we may have to focus on bringing all those guardrails and protections on top of your AI models, right? But these big tech product companies are actually focusing on making and reducing your hallucinations and make it more secured LLMs, I would say, which is really helping. Because for this whole way, the whole AI is like we are in an era where it is that AI is being democratized, right? It is available for everybody, and it is more affordable also. More of democratization of AI, as you rightly said, will bring in more of these compliance, ethics, security related challenges. That is what the big product companies are investing around these LLM models and making it more secure. So this has been our strategy when we started our AI strategy. We wanted to partner with the big product tech giants so that we are actually protected from all these hallucinations and other stuff. Because for example, if we are leveraging the GPT models, Microsoft is actually providing all the security guardrails on top of the LLMs provided to us. Similarly, when we are leveraging the cloud model, Anthropic cloud model, the AWS is actually giving us all those security aspects on top of it. So, as I said, technology is actually helping in protecting this as well. And we could see a good advancement in this space where uh, what the kind of hallucination we would have seen 3 years back, uh, whatever we have implemented in production for the last 2+ years, we have not seen even a single hallucination, kind of a scenario where we have leveraged AI, right? So that has been completely solved by bringing all those guardrails on top of your LLMs.
You're so right about the 3 years ago. As I've been playing around with these models as well, the hallucinations have gotten fewer in lay terms, which means that the enterprise models that you are probably using have gotten better and more tighter in terms of feeding more accurate data. That doesn't mean we don't need the human in the loop component of it. It just means that there's a added level of trust and reliability that is now there, that it's more a verification rather than double checking everything that the model put out. And so that, I guess, goes to the core of the next question I have, which is patients, right? Patients are ultimately our ultimate goal, right? Patient outcomes, patient happiness, patient satisfaction, patient health. And so patients are becoming increasingly part of this revenue cycle, whether it's through the chatbots that they're using for billing and scheduling, or having transparency around claims. How are you ensuring that these technologies enhance rather than erode the patient trust experience? And we just talked about decreasing hallucinations for patients when they're interacting. I guess that's also, I'm sure this is a very common question that you get from healthcare executives as you're looking to deploy some of these models that you bring to the table.
See, when it comes to the patient access, because some of the solutions what we have implemented in this space is more like an AI assist. While there will be an agent who will be talking to the patient, we have actually built in kind of a chatbot or a co-pilot kind of a solution where AI will actually assist to the agent, so that they will ask the right questions to the patient, because end of the day it has to be the first pass call where you do not need to make multiple calls for the same scenario. We need to ensure that the call gets through in one call, the first pass call, and also it is more a productive call where all the information is being, whatever be the use case, right? When you're talking to a patient. The kind of solutions where we have enabled the agents with an AI assist tool, which will overall help in improving your patient experience, right? Be it your be it your outbound call where the agent's doing the call to the patient, or be it your inbound call where the patients are for some reason calling the agents. The all conversational AI, I would say, is completely a AI-driven solution to improve your patient care and to give a better access for the patients, right? So this I would say a completely transforming a space, transforming the conversational space when it comes to the patient access and patient related the use cases. So because as I said, when the humans are involved, where it is not just a bot which is talking. We also have virtual agents, built talking to doing the calls, as an agent. But that is more on, not for the patient, conversations. That is more on talking to the payers in different use cases. But when it comes to the patient, it is all AI assisted solutions where the human aspect of the patients are taken care, and that is not completely automated. That's how we actually see the transformation happening in this space.
Yeah, and I will to our audience. This is a space. What Vijayashree just mentioned is a space that actually has been growing and been innovating in the finance world for quite a while. In fact, many a times you're talking to a bot when you're talking to your bank and you don't even know it. And so, I kind of akin the level of security and privacy that we need in our financial system and our financial world similar to healthcare. And so I think if finance can do it, I think healthcare can certainly make that happen. We just have we definitely have a little bit of a longer runway to go when it comes to comes to these sort of things.
As I said, there is technology available for calling it as a virtual agent, where a bot can actually do an agent, right?
Right.
That is technically possible, right? But when it comes to the patients, because there is a PHA involvement, it is also more of actually having like a self-service tool for them. If you actually see the pre-COVID, not many would have actually leveraged the telemedicine, right? But the telemedicine has actually picked up post-COVID, because that has actually transformed the complete healthcare space, I would say. Now we have started leveraging. It's not like we are making any in-person visits to the hospitals. We are still depending. We have started depending on telemedicine and having a video call and a video chat and like a chatbot. And so that's a transformation which we have seen already happening in the healthcare space. And more AI is going to bring in how to improve your patient, experience in this. At the same time, protecting your PHI requirement.
Absolutely. One of the things that we're often reminded of is telemedicine in its current is not new. We've all had the technology for decades, actually. It has been the willingness of the industry to implement. And if there is a silver lining of whatever we all went through globally with COVID, it will be telehealth being one of these, which is increasing access to care, because now it is much more acceptable for us to have a telemedicine visit, and industry is following, as are all of the other payers and the infrastructure that is being built around telemedicine. So you're absolutely right. Like it's an example of technology being there. Now the question is, we need to lead the technology and leverage it for our purposes rather than the technology leading us, right? First, technology does tend to lead, but then we need to kind of say, okay, it's here. Now, how do we make a best practice out of it? How do we make it a guideline? How do we make it a workflow that works for the healthcare, for the patient, for the clinicians? So that kind of brings me, I have a last couple questions here, which is, the report actually highlights some staffing shortages, which is a top traditional challenge that a lot of healthcare executives grapple with. How do you see AI not just automating tasks, but actually changing the role of human workers in RCM over the next 5 to 10 years? I know you've already touched on that the human component is actually quite important, and I would agree the human in the loop component is super important. But it does mean that how we our work is going to shift in the next 5 to 10 years.
So the humans will definitely play a major role, and as always, the AI is driven. The AI gets the intelligence from the human, so that part will not go away. And the humans probably in the next 5 to 10 years, it has already started happening. The humans will do a different role rather than a doer doing things. They'll become more like a thinker and give inputs for all those AI agents, right? So more the AI picks up the thinking work, the human has to think one step ahead, kind of the complex process. So definitely the low-hanging fruits, the kind of very monotonous rule-based and medium complex kind of thinking work will get replaced by the AI agents. But at the same time, the whole analysis, the data analysis and the data analyst role will actually pick up the humans, the SMEs, especially the healthcare domain expertise, will become the core part of your AI, be it your traditional machine learning model training or be it your prompt engineering. If you actually see, you would have seen the ChatGPT when we all play around. If you ask a stupid question to the ChatGPT, you will get a stupid answer, right? So it is very important how intelligently we are asking the question to the ChatGPT for you to get the best use of it. So the prompt engineers, many of the humans will actually become they have the potential to become the prompt engineers, especially the domain experts. because that is where the crux, right? So the SME's knowledge has to be translated in the form of an intelligent prompt so that you get a proper response from your AI model so that the process gets automated, right? So the humans will become more, I would say, an SMEs for picking up this prompt engineering. That would be n number of roles where you can think of, to kind of be part of this whole AI journey, right? It may be a role shift for them, but their knowledge will become the core pillar for your AI journey. So the role might change, but the knowledge remains the same. And how do you apply it in an AI first process will make the shift in their roles.
Yeah. I love how you said if you ask ChatGPT a stupid question, it will give you a stupid answer, and actually it will be very confident in its stupid answer also, because there's nothing more than a large language model who loves the voice or the sound of his or her own voice. So they're very confident when you ask them stupid questions. I have a final question, which is about looking ahead. But before we do that, we have a couple of audience questions here, which I think will parlay nice into our final question. So the first question from the audience is, what are the most immediate areas within RCM where AI adoption can deliver quick operational improvements for healthcare providers?
I would say the back office, especially the account receivable space, the complete claim status. You can actually automate different forms of claim status. You can put, you can have an API based automation, RPA based automation, virtual agents, and also have bots and the AI doing the complete claim resolution. So the complete back office AR process, we can see a good amount of AI-driven AI agents being in the driving seat, which will help in reducing your DSO days for your customers. So AR could be a good starting place. Then the middle office also, I would say, because many of the auto coding, computer assisted coding platform, we in Omega, we do have kind of a auto coding platform which helps in predicting the CPT, ICD code and helps the agents to do the medical coding in an automated way. And the last on the connect space with the patient getting involved. The starting point could be a back office where you can implement more of AI and the bot solutions.
Yeah, I would agree. I think we're going to see changes across the systems, no matter where you are. It's just a matter of where in your organization do you want to start. And I agree. I think back office is probably a good place to start because the risk tends to be low. You can pilot things for a longer period of time, do some lessons learned, and then move forward to the next layer of your organization. So that was the quick wins. And so the other question I have from the audience is, as healthcare moves toward real-time data exchange, how can AI in RCM support faster reimbursement cycles without compromising accuracy or regulatory standards? And this is the bread and butter of kind of what you guys do, right?
Yes, true. See, more real-time, so the whole, this life cycle revolves around, as I said, between the payer and the provider communication, right? You actually get a real-time data exchange happening between your payer and provider. It is going to benefit on both the sides, right? Both for the providers, they need faster cash acceleration. For the payer, so it's more you have real-time data exchange, more you have accelerated data transfers. You are going to reduce the overall overheads in your administrative aspects, because many times if you actually see back and forth claims getting denied and then provider making an appeal, and it is a back and forth communication between a provider and a payer. More seamless data transfer, real-time data transfer, it is actually going to reduce the overall administrative overheads on both the sides.
Agreed. And hopefully the sooner that can happen, the better, I think, and more efficient the healthcare system can operate.
Yes.
And hopefully the healthcare costs can go down in line with that. So now I'm going to ask the big question, and this is my last question, which is we've talked about where we are currently, what some pain points are and challenges with RCM and AI. Looking ahead by 2030, AI investments are projected to become a top priority in RCM. And so I'm going to ask the question, which you may or may not be able, but like be kind of the visionary guru in this space, which is what part of RCM is going to be unrecognizable compared to what it is today?
No, the entire industry is moving towards the humans part will get minimized, right? It becomes more an automated, autonomous world, right? So in the autonomous world, it will become the whole industry is moving from a software as a service model towards a services as a software model. So every service provider, will become like a software provider, providing a service through your autonomous solution, right? So RCM will also be, RCM services will also eventually become like that. So every, the services will be, instead of getting, the services will be provided, but how the services will be provided, there will be a drastic shift and transformation in that space. So to answer your question, so your RCM will still, so RCM will still be there, but how that RCM service is being served, there will be a shift in the overall transformation.
Yeah, I can imagine that where there will be a lot of even further integration into EHRs of RCM, so that to the earlier question about real world data, really kind of having analytics catch like, hey, you're going to put in for this for approval, you've missed this, catch it sooner, so that we're not we're kind of really making the pipeline frictionless or as frictionless as possible, and really bringing the human sooner and then letting the agentic AI or generative AI piece of it kind of do the longer end of the work. That is the hope, I think.
More automated, it becomes, the data becomes more digitized. You can derive more insights and intelligence. For example, the reason why I said you automate more on your back office, because that will give you more insights, which can be fed back to your patient access and your coding teams, so that intelligence will, the feedback from the back office will help in preventing it in the upstream process itself. You can prevent the claims getting denied, right? Because you would have derived the insights by automating in the back office. That's exactly you are also summarizing, right? So it's like a life cycle. You automate more, use that insight, use it upstream, so that you can even prevent it, getting denied. So more you reduce your inflows in your account receivables, like your AR inflows should come down, right? So your back office volume will come down. So then it will become a seamless RCM, where it becomes a complete autonomous.
100%. Yes, I'm totally envisioning it right there with you, Vijayashree. Well, that brings us to the end of our episode for how AI and agentic AI is impacting healthcare in the revenue cycle management. I want to thank Vijayashree from Omega Healthcare in joining us and sharing her expertise. And I'm grateful for the audience who has joined us. Join us next month for another episode of Decoding AI in Healthcare. Thank you and have a wonderful week.